cancer of the pancreas, which is infiltrating all the tissues around it.
He's done so much for the people here on the island. He operates, he does it free, and he takes care of his own people.
Hello, I'm Steve Petrou, here on the Greek island of Leros on the Aegean Sea. This is a rugged, wind-whipped island. It's been the scene of historic battles. Also, it's been mentioned by Homer, and it has deeply religious people. Leros is also the birthplace of Houston heart surgeon Demetri Boulafendis. He returns here every summer to perform free surgery on his people. We will tell you the story about this doctor with a Greek soul, and through his journey here, we will share with you the struggles and joys of the people of this historic island.
Having Greek ancestors helped me get a better understanding of this doctor and the people of Leros.
What a beauty.
It's just went swimming.
Demetri Boulafendis was born on this mountainous Greek island more than 60 years ago. He left it as a young man to study medicine and later to become a heart surgeon in Houston, Texas. But he feels he never really left Leros or its people.
Yeah. In my heart. The island is in my heart. If I don't come 1 year, I don't know, I cannot imagine what is going to happen to me. You know?
For more than 20 years, Dr. Boulafendis has returned here every summer to give something back: free medical care and surgery.
I didn't know that I was doing something extraordinary, operating on some old friends. I mean, what kind of money are you going to get from the poor people?
Near an outdoor cafe in the port city of Laki, the doctor runs into his first patient.
She was 20 years. She was 20 years old, and I operated on her in 1970. She was bleeding from the stomach.
Boulafendis took the young woman to the island's only hospital. It was abandoned by the Italians when they were driven out of Leros during the Second World War.
So I went there, and I found some rusty instruments and so forth, and I operate on her, and she's now married. She has children.
Μιλάτε Εγγλέζικα?
Όχι.
Πώς είσαστε τώρα?
Μια χαρά.
She's very good.
Τη
She's
ζωή
very,
μου
very,
τη
very
χρωστάω
well.
στο γιατρό μου.
She owes her life to me.
That's what you just said.
Yes, yes.
On the narrow streets near the house where he was born, the doctor finds an old friend.
This is a scar. I did an operation on him in... Πότε το σου κάμα την εγχείρηση?
Το Απρίλιο του 1984.
Yeah, I operated on him in 1984. He had... πόσα bypass?
4 και ένα ανέβρισμα.
He had an aneurysm on the left ventricle, and I put 4 bypasses on him. We were raised together, and he's doing all right. I mean, he quit cigarette smoking. He got a little belly, but it's okay.
Leros used to be one of the poorest islands in Greece. Its inhabitants would survive by fishing, farming, and grazing goats. Few people could afford to pay for a doctor, much less for their medicine. Leros is close to Kos, the island where Hippocrates, the legendary father of medicine, was born. Boulafendis says his father, who was one of the island's few doctors, tried to follow Hippocrates' teachings by being a humanitarian physician.
So he would examine the patient and write a prescription and says, well, you have to take these medications and so forth. And so the old lady would tell my father, he says, oh, well, how can I have the money to buy these medications? So my father would open and give her the money to go and buy the medications.
The old people of Leros remember the hard times they faced. They had to survive everything from famine to attacks from pirates and more recent invaders. This woman told us she prays twice a day at a roadside chapel near her house. As a boy, Demetri Boulafendis watched the Second World War turn his peaceful island into a bloody battleground. Because of its many sheltered and deep ports, it became known as the Aegean Malta, and the Nazis launched a fierce assault on its shores. The Leros War Cemetery is the final resting place for 179 British soldiers.
I saw the war as you see, as you Americans see it in the movies, and from a close observation, like 50 to 100 yards. I saw people killed in a crossfire. I was at the time in bed ridden because of a broken hip. I saw the paratroopers burned, and I saw the inflamed airplanes. I saw the people killed. I heard their voices, the wounded people. I saw my father going at night attending these wounded people.
But the young Boulafendis was not inclined to remain on the sidelines. While the island was under military occupation, Boulafendis climbed an old castle on one of the highest mountains of Leros and waved the Greek flag as the Nazis fired on him. An act of defiance recalled by Boulafendis' brother, Michalis.
And he was a strong boy and full of life.
The war experience also gave the young Boulafendis early training in the saving of lives.
If it was Doctor Boulafendis, of course, I were dead.
Kostas Kianis has an artificial eye. He is missing a finger and he almost lost a leg. He was just 5 years old and being carried to a cave by his 12-year-old sister when Nazi warplanes attacked.
The bomb cut the neck of his sister.
Kostas' sister died instantly, but Kostas was rushed to the home of Dr. Yorgos Boulafendis, who was being assisted by his 12-year-old son, Demetri.
He was brought by his father, and he was badly injured. He had one of his eyes was missed, and he was. I think he had traumas in his belly. He was about to lose his leg.
Working side by side, father and son saved Kostas' life. Kostas now has 2 children of his own.
My father said that he is the second Lazarus, that Jesus Christ give the life of the Lazarus, like Kostas.
Of course, my father was a general practitioner, doing some minor surgery, but he had a good sense. He was very aggressive. He didn't fear blood. And he was always telling me, he says, my dream was to become a surgeon.
Demetri Boulafendis fulfilled his father's dream. He's performed over 35,000 operations and is now surgeon-in-chief at Spring Branch Medical Center in Houston. But he feels the urge to return once a year to the island that gave him his start. Most islanders embrace him like a returning hero.
He's such a dedicated doctor that he doesn't know the difference between a vacation and working anymore. He'd rather work than play. And he takes care of his own people. That's part of his makeup. He loves his roots.
The announcement of his arrival on the island radio draws dozens of ailing people to the Leros hospital. Their problems range from breathing difficulties to clogged blood vessels. The doctor has helped many of the same people before.
14 years ago, I did 6 bypasses on him. 6 bypasses. I wouldn't give him 1 year because he had terrible vessels. Dances in disco, he says now.
He charges the islanders nothing, but he gets angry when they don't follow his advice. Boulafendis says this man did not get good advice when another doctor told him his heart vessels could be unclogged without surgery.
So did he get a bad opinion?
So, of course he got a bad opinion. Stupid opinion.
Boulafendis turns his attention to a 66-year-old woman who was first treated by his father.
All these thrombosed varicose veins and it's an infection.
Since the island hospital lacks sophisticated equipment, he tells patients with complex problems that he will operate on them in Athens or in Houston. Here, he chooses the patients that he feels would benefit the most from simple surgery. Among them is a man who is pale and has been complaining of a mysterious stomach ache. Based on x-rays and a physical examination, Boulafendis suspects the man may be suffering from cancer. He decides to do exploratory surgery. It doesn't take long before the doctor's worst fears are confirmed.
Those cancers are adenocarcinomas and very aggressive cancers, and unfortunately people won't live more than 1 or 2 months or something like that.
After surgery, the doctor breaks the bad news to the man's wife and children.
Στείλανε βιοψία τώρα, στείλανε βιοψία να μπορέσει να... Τώρα κάνουν και τα χημικά.
But the doctor has little time to grieve. His niece has brought her 11-year-old son who is complaining of pain near his abdomen. The boy is rushed inside the operating room. The doctor suspects an appendix problem. He makes a tiny cut so the boy won't have a big scar. The diseased appendix is found and removed. A nurse shows the problem to the worried parents.
There wasn't a doctor at the moment. He had the crisis with his appendicitis. And I was very glad that my uncle was here and that he took care of him.
He can swim tomorrow. Tomorrow he can swim.
All right, let's go for a swim.
While his yearly visits are welcomed by most islanders, it's not all smooth sailing. The doctor also leaves controversy in his wake. Some local doctors refuse to assist him in his free surgeries. Why did the other surgeon not come?
I don't know.
So do you feel angry that they're not here?
It's not a big deal, you know. I mean, you don't need them. Sometimes there are more problems than having them, you know. I mean, a nurse can do a better job than they do. So...
After hearing about his complaints, the young surgeon who normally handles most operations here comes to assist.
Why are you happy?
Why am I happy?
Yeah.
To be with Mr. Boulafendis. To see him and see his technique.
The young doctor and Boulafendis work side by side. They remove the inflamed veins of the elderly woman who was having difficulty walking. The woman's husband, who has known Boulafendis since the doctor was a little boy, says that he and his wife can now spend more time with their 6 children and their many grandchildren.
Yeah.
He knew you from a little child?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Are you happy now that the surgery came from this hospital?
Yeah, sure, of course I'm happy. I think he was in a very difficult situation between the director, who is an idiot.
You understand them boycotting you then?
Oh yeah, I understand them boycotting me, sure, of course. Or having objections or criticizing me. I know, you know, for example, in Houston, you know, if I go out in the operating room or leave the building, there are going to be some people who says, well, you know, I would do that like that, I would do that like that, to project themselves, which is good, which is healthy, you know, as long as they don't, you know, say stupid things.
Maria Boulafendis, the doctor's 22-year-old daughter, says she understands why her father can be the center of controversy.
He is a pedigree on this island. And so if someone loves him very much, there's always the counterpart that hates him. And unfortunately, there's no in between.
Boulafendis readily admits that he doesn't hesitate to speak his mind.
You know, some people that they come to you and, for example, they want to say some things and mean something else. And I don't like that. I kind of try to be straight, and if they like it, that's fine. If they don't like it, tough.
He also does not deny that he has a high opinion of his abilities.
Yes, I think that if there are any surgeons without ego, I don't think they should be surgeons. They can be something else.
Why is that?
Well, I think that the surgeon is a prima donna, basically. You know, have you ever seen a prima donna being a prima donna in an opera without an ego? There's no such a thing.
The main mission of Demetri Boulafendis, of course, is as a physician and a surgeon. But when he comes home to Leros, the people here share with him more than the problems they have with their bodies. They tell him about all their concerns, from the lack of fishing to the problems of adopting children.
The doctor comes to Partheni, a remote fishing village in Leros, to check on some fishermen and their wives that he's operated on years ago. Over a cup of coffee, he learns that a mother who abandoned her young son 3 years ago is now trying to reclaim the boy from the grandmother who raised him. A relative says the mother is like a goat. She goes with anyone and bears his children. The doctor says he'll back the grandmother.
Because the mother, you know, left the child for 3 years without saying anything. She has a history of selling 3 previous children, you know, for money. And I think that the grandmother did a good job, raised him up. I mean, she gives everything she can for this child.
Many of the villagers are poor and powerless. Sometimes the doctor acts as their unpaid lobbyist.
For example, last year they were telling me they didn't have any telephone, so I had to go to the mayor and tell him to put a damn telephone because these people cannot be forgotten in this village, you know. And in an emergency, they had to communicate with somebody.
Before leaving, Boulafendis acted like a doctor again, telling a fisherman that he wants to remove a growth on his neck. Then he looked at the calloused and crooked hands of another fisherman and decided he's better off without surgery.
Apparently, those fingers, they help him in his work, you know, with the net and raising up and so forth. I don't think that he's very keen to be operator. He keeps it until his death.
Boulafendis is also not forgetting the youth of his home island. He's seen how drugs have spread in his adopted American city of Houston, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen in Leros. He is footing the bill for 2 soccer teams for boys 9 to 13 years of age. Boulafendis says his support of youth programs has one main goal.
They are able to kind of keep them out of streets, out of drugs, out of many bad things that children can do.
The young people also compete in the Boulafendion, a race around the port city of Laki. To encourage achievement in the educational field, the doctor has donated funds to build an academy for college preparatory training. The educational building is named after the doctor.
You think one of these boys will grow up to be a doctor one day?
Oh, of course, I think so. I haven't met them personally, but there are some intelligent boys there that they can become doctors. Yes, I hope so.
Like Boulafendis himself, the island of Leros is not without controversy. With its remote location near the coast of Turkey, it has served as a place of exile for political prisoners. More recently, Leros has come under attack for an aging psychiatric hospital where critics charge that mental patients have been neglected. But Dr. Boulafendis told a group of Danish tourists that he has offered his services, and he says improvements have been made.
There was something wrong, there's no question about it. But I don't think there is a mental institute in the entire world that the treatment is perfect.
Demetri Boulafendis rarely attends church, but every August he joins thousands of other islanders as they climb to the castle that shelters the Church of the Virgin Mary. He once waved the Greek flag from here. Now, he says, he realizes there is a superior power that helps people that he cannot help.
In my profession, it's stupid to say that there is no something that's above us. You know, it's stupid. I think it's ignorant. Because I see patients, you know, that are expecting to be dead, and they survive. So there are some things that, you know, I mean, is beyond our powers.
And sometimes you tell the patients, God be with you, don't you?
Yes, yes. They tell me, you know, how long I'm going to live. I said, only God knows.
Boulafendis says that when he looks at the faces of the people of his home island, he discovers another reason why he is drawn back here.
They're very nice people, you know, very honest people, hardworking people, and they don't hide behind, you know, a facade. It's just plain, straight, honest people.
Michalis Boulafendis, the doctor's brother, once studied to be a lawyer, but he dropped out of law school and runs a night spot known as the Piano Bar. Here, the two brothers join old friends as they remember a simpler and happier life.
He's happy here because in the cities you are a number. When they call him Demetris, Demetris is happy. In the cities is Doctor Boulafendis, is the power, is the famous Boulafendis, but it's not Demetris. Here is Demetris. Ας τραγουδήσουμε ξανά πρίμο σεκόντο. Γιατί λοιπόν να πάει αγάπη μας στον ρόντο.
But Michalis cautions his brother that some people may want to become his friends for the wrong reason.
I think that my brother is alone. He has not the real friends because all people that is close to him, I think that there is close to him for power, because he has a power, because he's famous.
The doctor reminds his brother that finding good friends is not easy.
A true friend is a very rare thing. And I remember when I was reading or studying Shakespeare, if you find a friend, I mean, it was so impossible to find a friend. Then he says you tie him to yourself with iron chains and so forth, which means keep him close to you, because he said a true friend is a very rare thing.
After this visit to his home island ended, Demetri Boulafendis suffered a heart attack, but he survived and returned to Leros for another summer of free surgeries.
Demetri Boulafendis says he would like to continue doing surgery both here in Leros and back in Houston for as long as he's able to do a good job. Asked how he would like to be remembered, he says simply, as a man who cares about people.
My reward is basically that I see these people love, I see these people's love, and I love them dearly. And doing surgery, the least I can do for these people.
This is Steve Petrou from the island of Leros in Greece.
Ταξιδεύει και η σκέψη μαζί σου.